identify and recognize our district employees and students of the month for the month of October. And we're going to start with the October 5th recognitions. Those were submitted by Sunny Slope Elementary School. They identified and wanted to recognize our Director of Nutrition Services, Ann Pennington. Congratulations, Ann. Ann is a total champion for students and families. She and her team have put together some amazing programs to be able to feed uh, 6,000 families, up to 6,000 families a week, 5 meals at a time, so just incredible work. Sunny Slope would like to recognize and honor Paulie Lange. Paulie has been a longtime teacher at Sunny Slope Elementary School. She is type of employee who responds to the challenges of things like distance learning with a smile and with a passion for her students. So congratulations, Paulie Lange. The school would also like to recognize Christy Gorham. Christy is the first person you see when you go to Sunny Slope Elementary School. She sits at the front desk of the school. She's our school secretary there. She is a joy to be around. She has a "how can we help you today" attitude, and the school would like to recognize Christy Gorham, just a great, great employee. And then our students of the week for the week of October 5th are Noah Castillo, a second grader at Sunny Slope Elementary School. Noah has been nominated because he is an exceptional young student who comes prepared each and every day to work and learn. Congratulations, Noah. And we have Isabela Cuevas, also in second grade, so second grade very well represented from Sunny Slope, being nominated because she is doing a great job for distance learning. Her attendance is great, her participation is great, and her motivation and enthusiasm make her student of the week. Congratulations, Isabela Cuevas, Sunny Slope Elementary School. From Rancho San Justo, and so I have administrators from the district office um, listening to this meeting and watching. I do need somebody to come in and answer the telephone while I read or while I read the employee recognition. So Erica or Caroline or Kip, who are probably just right outside this room, please come in and help answer the phone, the calls that are coming in. So our second group of recognized individuals are from Rancho San Justo Middle School. They want to recognize Assistant Principal Stacy Benura. Stacy is in her second year at Rancho San Justo Middle School. She is a pleasure to work with. She is a constant presence in school meetings and activities. So congratulations to Assistant Principal Stacy Benura. In addition, we have one of our incredible sixth grade teachers, Mrs. Tracy Jimenez Bedoya. Tracy has been a longtime teacher in the Hollister School District. Tracy is a friend, she is a mentor, she is a curriculum leader. She does an incredible job with our sixth graders at Rancho San Justo. So congratulations, Tracy Jimenez Bedoya. And then we have our awesome library media specialist, Diane Smith. Diane is a joy to be around. Diane is highly trained and experienced in working with all of our students. She is a person that others can trust and rely on. She is a constant supporter of students. In her library, it is very common when kids are on campus to have 40 or 50 kids in her library during lunch because these kids feel supported and safe and engaged when they're in her space. So congratulations to Diane Smith. And then this week's, these are about to go out tonight, Administrator Confidential is Caroline Calero. Caroline is our Director of Educational Services. She is being recognized for her expertise and her support for school principals and her willingness to go the extra mile. So congratulations to Caroline Calero. In addition, we have Science Teacher Extraordinaire. She is a wonderful, wonderful educator. Her name is Barbara Penny. And those of you who know Barbara, will not come to you as a surprise at all. She is just an outstanding educator. On the classified side, we have our school custodian, Ismael Smiley Rico. Ismael is a joy to be around. He is consistent, He is kind. He is supportive of every teacher and employee at that school. So congratulations to Smiley. And we have two students, Robert Rendon and Taylor Holston, both being recognized for their commitment and their success with distance learning. So congratulations, kids. And that is my recognition for the month. And I'm going to answer the call now. Hello, this is Mr. Ochoa. Hi, this is Mr. Ochoa. That's, thank you, dear. Tell me your name. Anne, okay. Just sit tight for a minute, Anne, and you'll be first up. Okay, thank you. I needed your help 5 minutes ago. I'm good now.
You sure?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to do public comment. And is Jan managing this? Or
Jan, you'll manage it, but I do need to just have this. We have a caller, so if it's okay with you, we'll let the caller go first.
Absolutely.
She's on the line now, so let me put her on speakerphone here. There we go. All right. There we are, dear. We can hear you. You go ahead and speak right up.
Okay, well, I'm calling about the school opening of the winter for special ed. I'm a teacher at Rancho, a special ed teacher. Hello?
Yep.
Yep, we're here.
We can hear you. Go.
I kind of have one of those moments with this that has never changed me. And I was teaching, I mean, I do special day class now, and I was teaching in my class, and I knew that one of the students' mother was sick, and, you know, it sounded bad, but when I asked around, a lot of people knew her, they knew her as being really healthy, and, you know, never been sick, you know, very vibrant woman, and, so, but then I knew that she was sick, and I didn't hear anything positive. So it was like maybe 5th or 6th grade. But one day, the student, he just got up from his desk and he said that he had to go to the hospital. And basically, that night, he lost his mother. And from COVID, complications of COVID. So it really changed me. And but I'm reading a lot and listening a lot in the culture about COVID, and so it's just a matter of numbers. And you know, we lump everything like this week. There's going to be outbreaks. There's going to be this and that percentage. But what I ask myself all the time now is, where is the compassion for people here? Like everyone in these cases can lead to either the loss of a life or the loss of health. And I know that this losing parents of this age is very devastating. And I so likely understand why this is a market center. And I feel like, you know, this has got to be looked at as this is really what happened, what potentially is going to happen, and we can't see it. Just this is real people's lives, and so I feel like I was listening to this conversation, and it's just like, you know, the whole experience as something that this boy can have rehabilitation, he can be retaught, he can have, you know, speech everything, all that stuff can be added. But the one thing that can never be added, that he feels like is his mother. And
So we're gonna ask you to go ahead and wrap up your comments.
Well, let me
Thank you.
comment. I believe, I want to be honest with that, and, I understand what consequences are. They know the cost of it. But that's my comment.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, Clerk Chris, you can take it from there.
Jan, you're on mute, babe.
Okay, Jen.
I have letters that have been emailed to us. And then I do have comments that were left on a petition that was started by Ashley Newman. And the comments that were left on the petition, there are 25 of them. They did not follow the procedure that we have to send them in as emails for public comment. And so I'm going to ask the board if they want me to read those. And President Bernowski, if you would take this question and ask the board if they want me to read these comments or not.
Okay.
Okay, so the question before the board is, we do have public comments that were submitted in a untraditional way, and I guess there's 25 of them. And so the question is, do we want to hear them all? Jan, could you let us know, are these 1 or 2 sentences, or are these full-blown letters?
Some are 1 or 2 sentences and others are not. It's a mixed bag.
Can I ask a question for clarification?
Yes.
Were these comments submitted with the intention of, like, do the people who wrote the comments know that there's a chance that we might read them out loud?
No. They were just sent basically to put in their comments for the petition, and the person that did the petition asked the parents to make comments, do it the proper way. But I am just asking the board if they want to hear those.
Yes.
We can, if my personal opinion is that we should hear them because they're our parents. And they have their views. Did they do it correctly? No. And I can live with that too, because they were told how to do it correctly. And we do have proper procedures.
So does anybody else have any other comments? So I'm going to, go ahead, Trustee King.
I don't have any problem listening to them.
Okay.
I don't care if they were proper.
Okay. I'm going to agree with both of you only because, we do have management programs and we have waived them in the past. So I think if we do that once, we have to do it for every issue. Trustee Carla Torres de Luna.
I agree. I always appreciate parent comment. I'm just worried, like, do the parents that submitted those comments know that these are going to be read out loud in public? That would be my only concern, was that their intention? Just to protect them. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because it says, my hope is that the parents will attend the meeting tonight and voice their concerns. I will be attending and have already sent my public comments in. This is from Ashley Newman, who started the petition. So that's, Carla, your point is well taken.
But they signed a petition, meaning they want to go public,
That's
Okay,
true.
or maybe even too, could it be that we say the comments and you don't have to necessarily say who the author is?
well,
They're not long.
yeah.
We're going to
Okay,
spend more time talking about it than I could read them.
And
To be
all right,
honest with
read them
Li-
then.
yeah, but
Liz,
I,
you want
I just have to ask, did we get copies of the petitions with the signatures? Because that is, as the clerk, you're supposed to manage correspondence from the public to us as a board. So eventually, we should have a copy of the petition put in front of us.
Yes, I can send it to all the board members. I thought everybody received it. I'm sorry, I did not know that.
No, I didn't.
Okay, then I will, after I read them, I will send them to the board.
So just make sure, are we reading them just comments and not saying so-and-so said, right?
I can do it that way if the board prefers it that way.
That would be a suggestion.
Unless there's objection, I say let's commence with the reading without identifying the author.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I am so tired of seeing my 9-year-old in tears on a daily basis. Our kids need to be at school. Our kids deserve better, and I know they can do better. I would like my kids to go back to school in person as soon as possible. Their education and social development are being affected. My children are constantly being kicked off. It has nothing to do with our internet. My oldest is struggling due to needing his accommodations for his IEP. The schools can only do so much with IEP with distance learning. He's not getting all of his accommodations. My children need social interaction with other children, such as recess and lunchtime, not just class time, through a computer where they are allowed to talk to one another. My children do so much better with in-person learning. Distance learning has been hard on students, parents, and teachers. Things need to return to normal. Open up the schools. I can be done, I think they meant it can be done safely with kids and teachers wearing PPE. This has gone on long enough. Our kids are falling behind academically. My son tells me every day how hard it is to learn on a computer. Please get these kids back in school ASAP. Sorry. We were asked for a couple of weeks to flatten the curve. What happened to that? Having the kids in distance learning is damaging the kids in so many ways. This is not working. Kids need to have their mental health to be prioritized, not something that unfortunately has to suffer. My teen is suffering and mentally drained because he cannot learn the same. COVID is not dangerous to kids, and they are not a vector for spreading it either. Open schools could actually follow the science, not just select scientists. I feel that in-person learning is essential to our children to stimulate their minds and development socially and mentally. Our kids need this. I have 2 young kids and I am speaking for them. They need this. My grandsons need to be in the classroom and be with their friends. I would be willing to send kids back if school is ready with a plan that they share beforehand with parents, appropriate PPE and in-person accommodations, as well as policy that is established and following unilaterally about exposure. Kids need to be in school point blank. It's common sense. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm signing because I'm concerned about my daughter's well-being. She is struggling so hard this school year and I'm afraid she will not pass. COVID is not dangerous to kids, and they are not a vector for spreading it either. Open schools would actually follow the scientists. Let's see. My grandson needs to be in classroom and be with their friends. My kids need to go back to school. Distance learning does not. I think I read this strand. I have a 6- and 7-year-old, and I see how this is affecting them mentally. My kids miss normal school days. Open up the school. It can be done safely. I'm so tired of seeing my 9-year-old. I think I've repeated them all, so I've got them all. Now I have some more here. Now these are been submitted correctly, and I'm going to be reading them with their names. This is Natalie Kimura. This is to the HESD school board. I'm a parent and an educator, and I think that keeping the schools closed and doing distance learning is the best option. While I would love my child at school, it is too soon to open and possibly expose kids and staff to virus. Our child's teacher, Mrs. Holstein at Sarah Vista, is doing a phenomenal job at engaging the students and keeping their academics at grade level. My son is reading books by himself now and a whiz at math. Please keep thinking out for the safety of staff, students, and families. This is just a small inconvenience in the years of their education. Kids are resilient and will make it up and will make it through. This is from Sharon Newman. Dear Hollister School Board, I have a granddaughter in the Hollister School District. I have seen the struggles and anxiety she and her family are having with online schooling. I have witnessed my granddaughter getting frustrated with learning, having difficulties focusing, not wanting to log back in after a break, and being distracted due to the behavior of other students, including hearing siblings arguing. Online schooling has proven to be detrimental to many students, as evident from the concerns and the experiences parents are sharing. Parents are rightfully concerned with the negative impact online schooling is having on their children. Please consider the following. Send out a survey to the parents in the district so the parents can share their concerns and provide their input. Provide in-classroom instruction for those children who are struggling to learn online. Are there some teachers who are interested in returning to the classroom? If the school district does not feel they can safely open the schools for students, teachers, and staff, consider other means of learning for struggling students, such as home tutoring, free, or some in-classroom instruction while social distancing. Seek advice, input from other school districts that have opened. Also, preschools have been opened. My other granddaughter attends one of them. She is doing great. There must be something the board can do to support struggling students so no students are left behind. Thank you for your consideration. Sharon Weiland. This is from Matthew Newman. Risk is inherent in everything we do in daily life. We risk dying in a number of ways every year. However, many companies implement safety measures to reduce the risk of accidental injuries or fatalities. Similar safety measures are being applied to COVID-19 worldwide in jobs and classrooms alike. Applied correctly, these safety measures are allowing daily life to continue for workers and students. We have an opportunity to implement these safety measures in our schools to go back to in-person learning for our children, all while reducing the risks of the harmful byproducts that distance learning has created, like unreported neglect, hunger, and abuse. I understand teachers are concerned for their own health, but many other essential workers can implement safety measures to continue to do their job in person, so can schools. Ashley Newman. Hello, board members. My name is Ashley Newman, and I am a parent of a second grader at Sarah Vista. I'm sure by now you all know me pretty well from my constant emails and phone calls. Since my petition has started, there have been 195 signatures, and some parents' comments are on it are about them being worried about the lack of socialization, learning loss, and lack of physical activity. Our children have been stripped of everything they know as normal this year. COVID is very real, but there isn't enough information or data when it comes to opening up schools and transmission rates. There is so much information that it's impossible to sift through to make a decision on whether to open the schools or not. I know from watching my child, though, the damage and harm that distance learning is doing outweighs concerns over having the school open. The Hollister Elementary School Teachers Association president said that the greatest killer to learning is anxiety and stress. She is absolutely correct, and this is what is happening to our kids while they are at home trying to do distance learning. My household is not a learning environment and is loud and full of distractions. Although she has a set time to be logged into school, her environment is never on a set routine for a learning schedule. Screen time is also a big concern of mine. The American Pediatric Association suggests a max of 2 hours a day of screen time, and my second grader is on the computer for 5 hours. Her behavior has changed and worsened from the amount of screen time. My daughter has always loved school and loved learning. We now struggle with getting her to want to log on because all the fun extracurricular activities have been taken away, such as STEAM Lab, PE, recess, social studies, arts, and science. Her day consists of math and English and watching videos that her teacher uses as new learning tools. She just did her first art project last Friday where she got to use glue and materials to make a skeleton, and it took 3 months of being into school for that to happen. I have talked to our principal multiple times, her teacher, and I have attended town halls to talk about my concerns, and the school has done nothing to try to help out other than just with words of affirmation that they will get through this together. My child is being left behind this year, and I am worried about the future repercussions of what this year will be for her. I have taken the suggestion of using a social worker services and to do counseling. I was surprised to hear that there is only one social worker capable of doing counseling services for the entire district of over 5,000. She alone is not enough to help our students with the mental health challenges that we are facing this year. I urge the board to consider doing more in-person activities since we have moved into the new tier. Our students need in-person tutoring, a PE class once a week, and more social workers to help with mental health. Please give us parents tools to help our kids succeed this year. Hello, board. My name is Hector Garcia, and I'm a grandfather of 3 students in the district. I want to thank you for creating distance learning for my grandchildren. The whole community has battled this virus and we are all tired. But bringing all students back to schools would be a mistake. Please keep schools closed until there is a solution to this virus. Good evening, board members. My name is Brian Fetchy. I am a Lad Lane parent. My kids are currently in the RISE program. I feel like many other families, though, because we too have difficult moments almost every day. My 8-year-old has ADHD, which makes it difficult to keep him on task. My 4-year-old, like many families with young kids at home, recently has decided that he no longer wants to nap anymore in the afternoon. My 11-year-old in 6th grade logs in approximately 40 hours of work each week. I'm not happy with the time he puts in, but I'm happy he's a hard worker wanting good grades. I would like to go on record to say thank you for the district's decision to stay on distance learning. You have saved so many lives, prevented so many children, teachers, staff, families from becoming ill due to a virus that is now on its 3rd spike throughout the country. You have spared so many people the mistakes other communities have made time and again. Reopening schools will undermine everything we've accomplished. A student should not go to school in fear and is not going to learn if worrying about getting the virus. Our most at-risk teachers closer to retirement should be allowed to work their final years without worry about living to see that retirement. Let's show our gratitude to them. Make distance learning work is not easy. I sympathize with parents asking to reopen the schools. Many of those families would definitely benefit from more district support, especially for ideas how to juggle multi-age kids with school. That was my life after school before the pandemic. Parents feel like that all day now. Another concern for parents is socialization. Parents need ways to connect with other parents, for kids to play with kids in another family. Students need fun activities online each week to break up that Zoom fatigue. There is also a percentage of students even more at risk due to distance learning. These students should be able to return to very small cohorts supervised by classified staff, but still taught through distance learning. The pandemic has forced all of us to change the way we do things. I am asking for the district to lead the way by offering different support programs to help parents change too. In closing, my wish for the district is that it takes the necessary steps to better support families and offer new solutions to further improve distance learning. We can make newspaper headlines for the latest teacher death or school outbreak, or we can make headlines for addressing what our families so that distance learning can work better for everyone. Thank you. This is from Jennifer Cole. I have concerns about the special education teachers returning earlier, as I will be affected. What about working 2 parents, 1 teacher who struggled to not find daycare for their own kids in August? I especially have a kindergartner who needs to be back in school too, as much as sped. He's not learning either. I would rather return when general education returns. If I return earlier than general education, what do I and the paras do with their general education children who will be home doing online classes? Will the district help provide daycare? Right now, both parents share responsibility of online classes. Safety. when I know that there are students or family members who have COVID will return for their cohorts in December? Will the campus be ready with hot water and all safety issues? What are the measures for safety for behavioral meltdowns with students who return earlier in cohorts and following safety COVID measures so as not to bring it home when I cannot be 6 feet away? These are a few things that concern me. I need to know that SPED's return earlier has measures supporting us when Gen Ed students return later. This is written from one of our school nurses, Anita Seringhouse. Good evening, Superintendent Ochoa, President Bernowski, and board members. I am writing tonight to thank you for choosing to continue distance learning until January. I have a son in 8th grade at Rancho, and he misses going to school in person very much. He struggles with dyslexia and does not find distance learning easy. He asks me frequently when things will be going back to normal. Which normal? The old normal or the new normal? Would my son really do better with only 2 days of in-person instruction and 3 days on his own to figure lessons out? As a parent, it can be hard to answer these questions for our children. There's one thing I cling to, though, and that is consistency. I appreciate that as difficult as distance learning may be, it offers a consistent daily routine. It is much better than going back and forth and not knowing what to expect. As one of the district nurses for Hollister School District, I know a few things my son does not. I know that we have had 19 students and 4 staff members test positive for COVID-19 since the start of the school year. We have had 46 teachers who needed to self-isolate due to being exposed to COVID positive people. What would have this meant for our district and for our students? In August, 4 students testing positive for COVID-19. That would have caused 4 separate classes at 3 different schools to self-isolate, impacting 64 students' mode of learning. Because these cases impacted over 25% of the schools in the district, there is a possibility that the district may have had to close these schools for deep cleaning, potentially affecting all students' learning as well. 8 teachers needed to self-isolate due to exposure to a COVID person, causing the district to obtain 8 substitutes to cover these classes for 2 weeks. This did not happen since we were on distance learning and the teachers taught from their classes from their home. Now that was just August. In September, 10 students tested positive for COVID-19. This would have caused 10 separate classrooms at 5 different sites to self-isolate, impacting 160 students' mode of learning. Because the cases impacted over 50% of our district sites, we would have had a mandatory closure of our district for a minimum of 2 weeks, maybe longer. This would have impacted every student in our district's learning. 4 staff members tested positive for COVID-19 and 28 others had to self-isolate due to exposure to positive cases. Due to distance learning, all of these staff members were able to work from home, ensuring that their students' education was not interrupted. In October, thankfully, we have seen a decrease in cases in our county and our schools for the time being. This month, we have had 2 students who have tested positive for COVID-19. This would have impacted 2 classrooms, causing the disruption of 32 students' mode of learning. 6 staff members who had to self-isolate due to COVID-19 positive exposures. Again, in distance learning, these staff members work from home. The other important factor to consider is that more learning would have been impacted than I have mentioned above, because any student who came to school with COVID-19 like symptoms would have been sent home, sometimes for a day or two, and other times for 14 days, depending on the severity of the symptoms. This would have added to the disruptions in the learning. There is no easy answers for our students right now. When my son asks, when will things be back to normal, I gently explain, not for a while. However, during this time, your teachers, your parents are doing their very best to keep you safe, engaged, and learning. I deeply appreciate that during this very uncertain time, my son has had what he needs most: consistency. Thank you for your time and the work that you put in for the safety, well-being, and education of all of our students. Sincerely, Anita Seringhouse, and she's one of our school credentialed nurses. And that's it, everybody.
And Dan, we do have one more phone call, so I'm going to resume the call with our.
Okay.
Hello, this is Mr. Ochoa. Hi, this is Mr. Ochoa. I'm going to put you on speakerphone, okay? Thank you so much. It is, and thank you so much for waiting patiently. Okay, go right ahead. We can hear you.
Okay, so my name is Kimberly Lee, and my son attends a local school. He attends Baltimore Billings Academy, and he is absolutely struggling. But I want to thank you guys for keeping him safe. I don't want him in school. We have Kaiser doctors calling us. We're dealing with it as a family. I don't want his health at stake, and I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for keeping him safe. He needs to be home. I need to know that he's safe. And I also wanted to thank you guys for keeping band going. When Miss Sylvia calls and he has his band appointment, my son lights up like a Christmas tree. He absolutely loves her. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for keeping band, and thank you for keeping the kids home safe and putting their safety in a pandemic above people's needs for childcare.
Thank you, Kimberly. Those are all our comments for this evening.
All right. Moving on to item 11, the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? There can't be. So all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 12A, district-wide attendance report.
We have our, I'm going to let in some guests into our meeting for an upcoming item, but I'm going to ask those guests to remain muted. And our presentation for the board tonight is on behalf of our Director of Student Services, Kip Ward. So I'll direct the board to 2 pieces of data that we wanted to share with the board this evening. And the first is the district's attendance in the 2020-2021 school year. We track attendance every week. Attendance is taken during coronavirus pandemic. We take a morning attendance and an afternoon attendance for all of our elementary school students, and we take hourly attendance for all of all of our middle school students. And so at present, the cumulative attendance rate for the Hollister School District is 95.99%. I wanted to give the board a comparison to the prior year, and the comparison to the prior year is very comparable. You can see if in your board agenda you can pull it apart or just set it side by side, or for any of the members of the public online, you can pull it up and it's in color there. But the percentages are extremely similar, and there are some weeks in which last year's attendance was better than this year's attendance, and there are some weeks where this year's attendance is better than last year's attendance. So the total attendance for last school year was 95.41, and as of now, the total attendance for this school year is 95.99. So we're tracking it very carefully. My plan is to update the board in December again on our attendance, and then again in February, so that every 60 days the board gets an update from the school district on attendance rates. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions or comments from the board on our district attendance report.
Any questions? I do. Is it a weighted average? So meaning,
I have a comment.
okay, well, I started, so I'll get to you. Is it a weighted average? So like one school with 100 students, or, you know, AAA,
Yeah.
is not overwhelming the others.
It's all being combined. If we broke it down by school, and I could at the board's request bring you school by school attendance, it's sort of interesting actually to look at grade by grade attendance as well. So I can bring that to our next board meeting.
Well, do we have a problem anywhere? I mean,
I think we want every school to be at 98% and 90, because I think you're always going to have a certain percentage of children that are not feeling well or that have obligations outside the home, and the goal is definitely 100%, but we know that that is not possible because people's lives take precedence, and their health often takes precedence. So when that's the case, we look at a 98% as a really fantastic percentage, and we have schools that have specific grade levels where the attendance is 98%. And then I would say that we have, in certain grade levels at certain schools, we have higher rates of absenteeism. It tends to skew much more towards TK and kindergarten and first grade. I think littler kids tend to get sick more sort of quickly and are more prone to have tummy aches and need to miss school for those kind of reasons. But when we report to the board at our next update, you'll be able to see by school and by grade level.
thank you.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I am very impressed with the attendance, considering what we just heard from the public and how difficult it is for these students to do what they're doing, and how the parents are having a hard time as well. For us to be able to get at, let's say, 96%, frankly, that is a tribute to the organization of our superintendent and all the people that are involved in this, in the Hollister School District, including the students and the parents. I mean, I'm sure there's districts out there where your attendance is less than 90%, maybe less than 85, I don't know. But to keep it actually better than it was last year, that's quite a tribute. I have to admit, I am shocked. I did not have any idea it was going to be this high. So that's my comment.
Yeah, I agree with you. Carla?
I share the same thoughts. I'm pleasantly surprised, especially considering our conversation a couple board meetings ago where attendance was a big concern of ours with distance learning and the internet. And so I'm glad that we're not as far as we thought. And I'm curious to see at our next meeting where we'll see, where the problem areas are. So thank you.
Anyone else? No, but good job.
I will mention, we do have a phone call coming in. It may be somebody who wants to make a public comment. The board does have reserved the right to go back, so if it's okay with you, I'll answer the call.
Mhm.
Hello, this is Mr. Ochoa. Hi, this is Mr. Ochoa. Hello, this is Mr. Ochoa. How can I help you? Great. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to explain to our school board president, and I'll put you on speakerphone here in just a second, okay? So, board president Bernosky, we do have a caller who wants to make a public comment. It did come in right after we closed it, so I would recommend that the board just, somebody make a motion to return to public comment, which is item
10 or 11.
and reopen public comment and allow our guests to make a public comment.
So I would request that a motion be made to go back to agenda item 10, which was public comment, because we have a caller. Okay?
I'll make the motion that we return to item 10, public comment.
I'll
Second.
second it. Okay, go ahead.
All right, Janie, you're on speakerphone, so go ahead and just speak loudly and we can hear you.
Should have had a vote.
Taking the time to listen to parents and for having the meeting and allowing parents to express their.
I can't hear her.
Yeah, is there any way you can speak up?
Janie, can you speak up real loud? You're coming in a little bit low in the volume.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the parents' concerns, and hopefully we can move forward and be able to meet the needs of everyone all around. I have a fourth grader and I have a preschool child. One child is doing online distance learning here at home, and everything is going great academically. Is on
Hold on one moment, please.
She's cutting out.
Perfect.
I have a fourth learning, doing great.
You did a lot of writing stuff up here.
At school, on the spectrum, he has autism. My concern is that he is very comfortable at home, doing fine, not socializing, not interacting with his peers, sorry about that. And the fact that he is just not getting that environment from school, that learning how to navigate school, teachers, children, just having that well-rounded
Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much.
All right. Back to item, what was it, 12A. Is there any more comment from the board? School attendance? Okay, we'll move on to item 12B.
Item 12B is an information item. It is a district-wide Footsteps of Brilliance report included in the packet and included for all of our viewers online are what they call school dashboard reports for Footsteps of Brilliance. And I want to point the public and our school board to the first school, which is Calaveras Elementary School. Calaveras has 3 kindergarten teachers, 3 first grade teachers, 3 second grade teachers, and 3 third grade teachers. And so it's a total of 12 classrooms that are utilizing the Footsteps of Brilliance program. In the first 2 months of school, the first 8 weeks of school, the school students read 8.5 million words. And so those 12 classrooms are combining to read 1 million words a week. So that's just an astonishing number. It's a huge celebration. One of the things that I want to explain to parents watching and to our school board is that the district evaluates how the kids use the program. And there are basically 3 main activities that students use in Footsteps of Brilliance. The first is they read books. So the program has a whole series of books that are in English and Spanish. For children learning to read, the program will read the words to you so that you can develop automaticity and regularity in understanding the words. And then as you get older, you don't use that function, but you just continue reading books. So that's one aspect of Footsteps of Brilliance. Another aspect is what educators call skill development, but kids call games. So they're literacy activities that to a child appear to be a game, but are folding in the very words and skills that pertain to the book the child just read. So the third is writing books. So after a child has read a book and after a child has played the games and earned the tokens and the stars and the ribbons and the different accolades that they get in the program, they encourage them to basically rewrite pages of the book or add pages to the book. So you have kids going into Footsteps of Brilliance, taking a story they just read and basically turning it into a longer story or adding a wacky ending or a different title. Um, so it's a really great application activity for children to take what they've learned about the book, what they understand about the vocabulary in the book, and then to rewrite portions of it. So the data for Calaveras is very positive, 8.5 million words. Again, 12 classrooms at that school using the program. Are there any questions from the board on just the Calaveras dashboard or the breakdown? Steve?
Yeah, could you give me an idea what books written is?
Yep, that's the third activity. That's where the
What
students.
does that mean? They're writing books in the first grade? It says books written.
That's right. Yeah, so that was what I just talked a little bit about, Steve, where the last part of a reading activity is where there are often little snippets, little extra pages or rewrites or free writes where the kids are asked to basically write a portion of a different side of the story or a new page to the story. And I think Clerk Grist raised her hand. I think she's going to share with us her personal experience with it. So I'll pass it over to you, Jen.
Yeah, Charlie loves science and stuff. Well, he's into the penguins right now. So he's read this penguin book a couple of times. And what it does is it asks you to put down first a background. And so he'll put a background down and then the characters, and he can put a penguin, and he learns how to reshape the penguins, you know, how you can pull it and make it fatter, skinnier. He adds fish to it. And down below, once you've got your picture going, then and you have to title your book first. And then you write sentences. So he can put penguin's favorite food is fish. Penguins waddle when they walk. And he's using his vocabulary words. And so he does, because he's in first grade and he's mild to moderate, he uses simple sentences, but he just loves it. And that for him, he likes that. And any game that has a car in it, that's the cat's meow for him. But
It looks like to me they're developing. It looks like they're developing higher level thinking skills in the first grade.
Absolutely,
I can't believe
Steve.
that. That is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. They have 3 programs that they're using. Skyfall, Monster Teach, and then this Footsteps to Brilliance. Those are the ones that Charlie's using. And just really, really, really incredible stuff. Yeah. I'm just, and things like in the math, like when we were young, we were taught a diamond, like a diamond shape. No, that's a rhombus. They're doing this kind of vocabulary, a rhombus. Yeah. We were just, it was a diamond, you know. No, it's a rhombus. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Wow. That's the great part about it. It covers so many different areas. As you can tell, Sarah Vista was just at 12 million words read. When you add up Gavilan Hills and HDLA, that school is at 19 million words read. Last is at 9 million words read. And R.O. Hardin, 7 million words read. And Sunny Slope Elementary, 10.5 million words read. And the one thing I will tell the board is the schools are different sizes, so it's not an apples to apples comparison.
Right.
HDLA Gavilan Hill has twice as many kids as some other schools, so the number's gonna be higher. But what you all as board members are basically need to be informed about is that every single school is using this program. Every single grade level is using this program. We track it every week to see how kids are using it. And when you look at the data, you will see the kids are reading books, they are playing games, and they are writing books. So it's the combination of all 3 of those activities. And that's basically your report for this evening.
There's some good stuff going on in the classrooms.
Agreed.
Any other questions or comments?
Sure sounds like it.
All right, we'll move on. So we're going to open up a public hearing.
12C.
Oh.
12C is snuck in on you. Yeah.
But before we do, let's go to item 12C.
Item 12C is at the board's request. Board member Liz Martinez asked at our last meeting to have a conversation about the idea of having the Hollister School District Board of Trustees have an avenue to communicate, to plan, to be involved in decision making with our local electeds. And I want to present to the board a model that exists in many, many communities throughout California. So I'll route you all to page 108 of your packet. It is a page that explains some local cities and then some regional cities and then some just Northern California cities. So those are the city of Cupertino, the city of West Sacramento, the city of San Carlos, the city of Berkeley, and the city of Davis. Every single one of those cities has a standing, what they call a 2x2 meeting with their local school district. So this is something that already exists that we could easily pick up the phone and schedule a Google Meet with the superintendents and board presidents and board clerks and board members of these other districts to find out about their process and pick their brain and take all their good ideas and their support. So I want to explain to the board what the format of those meetings is. So the format is to basically establish a 2x2 committee, which consists of 2 members of the city council and 2 members of the board of trustees to collaboratively address issues of mutual concern. Those issues in our community, I would recommend the board discuss first and foremost growth and housing, traffic safety, after-school care, future school district development, commuter culture, and academic achievement, among other issues that the 2x2 committee could address. And on page 110, I provide the board with a sample of the core basics of these 2x2 meetings. So the first is their agendas. So it is often the case that there is a link on both the city website and the district website that any member of the public can click and find previous 2x2 agendas and future 2x2 agenda meetings and packets, that the meetings be videotaped so that the conversations increase public transparency and increase involvement of the public, that they be public in their entirety so that there be no closed session or no conversations taking place outside of the course of those meetings, that they be held monthly or quarterly, and we would leave that up to the board and obviously our partners with the city and or the county, and then that they be compliant with the Brown Act, that items be discussed in an orderly fashion, that we comport ourselves according to the Robert rules of behavior in meetings, and that they be accessible to anybody who wants to participate. And then at the bottom, I just gave an example of the city of San Carlos. This is on their city website, and it's also on the district website, and it's just a little visual that says, hey, do you want to learn more about what's being discussed at these meetings? Click here, we'll send you an email, we'll add you to our list, and basically get informed and get involved. So with that, I'll open up to the school board for any questions or ideas, and then we can have a conversation about how to move forward in the future on this particular topic.
Carla.
I think this is great. I think we've been wanting to do this. And my question is, it's 2x2, but would it include county board of soups as well?
Almost no other meeting structure I found included the county board of supervisors, but we're somewhat unique in that the board of supervisors is literally it almost overlaps perfectly with the city issues. There are so many properties that are city properties but on county land, and so many roads.
Right.
This is a county road, this is a city road, and I think there's something about the culture in the city of Hollister and in the county of San Benito where those two governing bodies there's just a lot of overlap in the plans and the decisions. So I would really leave that up to the board to
Well,
decide how to move forward. I think there's something to be gained by having it just with the city, but I think there are reasons to also want to engage with the county board of supervisors in a similar way.
But I would argue our city and county governments are so polarized. You need them both there. I don't live in the city of Hollister, right? And Rancho Santana is not in the city of Hollister, is it?
yeah, that's what I was going to say, Rob. Exactly. We've got a school that's in the county.
Yeah.
I just think when you do that, you'll end up with a conversation where you say, well, then we need to invite Southside School District, and we need to invite Aroma San Juan and Spring Grove, and end up with a meeting of 29 people. And we did that a couple months back, if you remember. And it was a real challenge. It was almost impossible to have a meeting when you had 25 people in attendance.
But I would like to point out that when Jan and I went and met with the city of Hollister, not only was the mayor there and 2 city council members, but they brought the right staff people so that this was to discuss maize and the reached out there. So, Jan, I don't know how you thought about it, but it was very intellectually satisfying, you know.
Right.
And I can't speak for, because I don't live in the city, but I know that in general, our county supervisors have been very willing to be partners with us. So if they were in the same room with us as city council members or the city exec, or what do we have, city manager, I think it could work. I mean, we're just discussing it, but I mean, I love this idea, whoever suggested it, because the number one thing that has irritated me about our combined governments as we talk about them is, where is growth occurring and why don't we have a vote in what's happening?
Well, I'd like to say that I listen to people that are running for office, and I noticed that the candidates never discuss the school districts.
Right.
I mean, we're not even talked about, and we're the largest employer. We are dealing with educating the future citizens of our city and county and state, and we're not even on their radar. And I think that we need to be on their radar. We need to work together. And so I think this whole thing that Elizabeth brought up, that because on the Intergovernmental Council, we're ex facto, we don't even have a vote.
Correct.
Liz, then Steve.
Yes. So for me, I agree with Rob. I think, if we need to kick this off, right now our interest is with so many school sites and the growth and just meeting the need. I think the community doesn't really understand, we're our own, public entity, like the high school. And so, but we have to be proactive moving forward, and planning growth we have to be a part of that conversation. And if this is the way we accomplish it, I want to be the first one at the table to make sure that we give our kids a voice. Our community deserves that, especially as we grow bigger and bigger. Like Jan says, nobody running really made education or schools not even a priority, not even a blimp. So if we have to bring that to the forefront, so be it. I think everyone is, I'm so excited. This board is so united and so passionate. And I just feel like we have the right chemistry right now to move this forward and just make the positive things happen all the way around. But it starts with the conversations.
Steve?
Yeah, I think this is a great idea. I would like to revisit the idea of having 2 representatives from the county. If we went 2 by 2 by 2, you're not violating any Brown Act. I would love to get them involved in this. One of the reasons why, if you remember back, I think it was right when we shut down around March 14, 15, something like that. I went to a county supervisors meeting, and after we had totally, not only us, but other school districts, had totally shut down, set up a program for that Monday, we weren't even acknowledged at all for any of our efforts. It was like we didn't exist. I couldn't believe it. We are part of this community. That's why not only the city, but the county, two have meetings like that. That way everybody's involved and we can get input from everybody, and maybe they'll be more aware of our existence with a program like this. We kind of will force it on them, because really, experience. I don't see that we're very high priority at all. Two, if we were going to do this.
So, Superintendent Ochoa, do you feel like you have enough direction?
I think it's always preferable to have more people at the table, but I just want a clarification from the board. By inviting both the city council and the board of supervisors, if it ends up causing other organizations to come on, such as Aroma San Juan, or the high school district, or Spring Grove, or Southside, or the County Office of Education, is I would like some direction from the board is, would you like me to proceed in that way? Because what will happen in those meetings is they'll go from a meeting of 4 elected officials to 20 elected officials pretty fast.
So I have a question. What if we proposed, and whether board members are involved or not, our school district with the county exec and the city manager? Because, you know, the elected are one thing, and obviously I respect them all, but who are the people that are really in the know about what roads are being planned, what new communities are being planned, where they are in the you know, planning process? Is it the elected, or is it the, for lack of a better term, the bureaucrats? Hold on, Carla. Or do you have a comment to that, Carla?
I see your point, Rob.
I think when you bring in a board member, the employee follows. I think if there's a meeting and I know 2 of my board members are going to be there, I'm going to show up. Is how I think that's a very easy way to draw in the city manager, the CFO. That, you know, as you said, it was nice to have the electeds there, but it was great to have the responsible staff, because you got a lot of answers from them.
Yes.
So I think it's a little bit of both, and I think because we have another board meeting coming up in November, I can have a pretty quick turnaround for the board, and we can agendize this item again, and I can give the board an update on my initial reaching out to the city and to the county.
Carla, then.
I'm thinking that it depends on our purpose of why we're meeting. When you have an exec who that's their job, and of course they're going to have answers that the elected officials don't have. But then I feel like I'm leaning more towards the elected officials at this point, because they're the ones approving whatever future plans or whatever housing or whatever's going on. So and I'm kind of thinking, now that you are all talking, that maybe we start, since there's already a model of these 2x2, that we start with that, you know, and then see what we need to do, you know, and then hopefully Superintendent Ochoa can give us more feedback on whether the county would seem, you know, feasible at this time. But maybe just start off with our city council representatives, and of course you can invite the execs when you need them.
Liz?
On your question, Diego, as far as, you know, inviting others, I think for me, this, everybody's going to have their own interests, and to me, that's what's difficult about, you know, the smaller schools are going to have way different concerns that we will have. And so I think it would have to be a discussion. You know, I want to get this off the ground. I don't want to get stuck in the weeds with, you know, this, that, and the other. I want us to just be able to, you know, if we're going to be moving this forward, I want it to be us and, you know, our county and our city leaders. And then from there, that group of people decide, depending on how it's moving forward, you know, or interest from others from outside, whether or not you want to bring them into the conversation. Because I think as a body in having specific topics that you want to cover and address that are relevant to your school district needs, is got to be, you know, put in a way that, I mean, we couldn't be discussing other people's issues right now without an agendized system and process. So, you know, for me, it's bringing our concerns forward. I don't know what other people want to do or don't want to do, but I know we need to do this. And if other people want to join in and you feel it's appropriate venue for them to join, but I think right now, I just want it to be us.
Jan? You're muted, Jan.
I think that it should be the Hollister. We need the county and we don't want other people because we just want the HSD boundaries, and our boundaries incorporate the county. And so we need the county there because some of our students live in the county, and that's why we need the county there. And we're discussing our students that live in the county, and that's why we want them there. And that's it. I mean, we're not trying, we're just talking about our kids. And this is about our schools, our kids, and our parents in our community. And that's why we want our supervisors, and you know, maybe that's the way we need to approach it. And that's the way I'd like to see it done, is that's why we want, you know, 2 board of supervisors and 2, you know, city council members, because we're discussing our HSD boundaries for our children and parents.
Okay, Steve?
Well, that was what I thought originally. We could start it out small. I would like Diego to contact the city council and see what their feelings are, and the county supervisors, and see what their feelings are. And if we're able to come together, 2, 2, and 2, that's the way I'd like to start it, because it doesn't really make sense to do it any other way. I agree with Jan. We have some schools that are in the county, not in the city. So we would want to get input from both of those. I don't see adding anybody else to begin with. Let's just see how that works out. And if it gets popular and we get this done, sure, we could think about adding more people later. But to start out with, those are the 3 units that I would like to see involved: us, the county, and the city.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Move on to public hearing.
Item 13.
So this next item is a public hearing on the adoption of the McGraw-Hill Science Instructional Materials for Science. And is Caroline Calero going to join us?
She should be online with us now, Caroline.
Okay, so let me gavel it in. We're in the public hearing.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we are.
Great. Hi, I'm Caroline Calero, Director of Educational Services in the Hollister School District. It's a pleasure to be before the board to conduct or be part of the public hearing on the proposed adoption of the California Next Generation Science Standards, Materials for Science. They are they're digital instructional materials to be purchased by funding that's specifically designated to address digital instructional resources for all students. I'd like to outline really briefly just the process and the recommendation that came forth. And we do have 2 guests also on that should be logged in. One is Barbara Penny, who was honored a little bit earlier, our science lead teacher in the district. And Max, I'm sorry, I don't want to mispronounce your name, but Max is the content expert for McGraw-Hill, and he can answer any questions that any questions that you may have. So briefly, the district, in partnership with San Benito County Office of Education, conducted an intensive review process with a group of HSD pilot teachers who ended up recommending to adopt McGraw-Hill science materials in the spring. We moved forward with this recommendation, and it was a deep analysis. They were trained on how to analyze instructional materials through the NGSS lens. And they moved forward with the recommendation for McGraw-Hill. This fall, when this special funding was released, and we had this unique opportunity to move forward with the adoption, we pulled together those teachers again and brought Max and McGraw-Hill Education on board so that they could truly review with McGraw-Hill one more time to look at the digital resources to see if those truly met the students' needs. We were really after something that allowed all students critical thinking, access to labs, all the things that provide an equitable opportunity for all of our students to become young scientists and future scientists. So we brought those teachers together on a separate meeting, and they did concur that they did want to move forward with the recommendation. And then we brought that recommendation forward to all the 4th through 8th grade teachers, who once again reviewed the materials and concurred with the recommendation to adopt McGraw-Hill science materials. The survey results from all the teachers, there were no teachers who did not recommend, and 85% enthusiastically recommended moving forward with these materials, with 16.5% who recommended it. So basically this is overwhelming. And the other data on some of the questions was really an overwhelming recommendation. So in moving forward, we did provide 2 weeks, 10 days of public opportunity to look at the links to review the instructional materials. Normally in a traditional cycle, we have the hard copies all laid out and people can look at them, but these materials need to be reviewed in the digital setting because they are pretty robust and amazing. So we provided the opportunity for public review in the digital realm. There was videos and different opportunities for folks to click and see what they make public comment. Another highlight before we let you loose to speak to our guests and ask questions is the materials are in English and in Spanish. And the ciencias, what is truly exciting to me, and you guys know how excited I get about things when I'm passionate, they were written by the native Spanish speaking curriculum team. So this is not a translated kind of afterthought about the curriculum. These are 2 parallel curriculums that are in the native language, developed in native language for our Spanish speakers, and that is rare. So with that intro, part of the public hearing process, I thought it would be very important that you have a chance to ask our expert teacher who reviewed the materials, or Max, who is from McGraw-Hill Education, who he actually was part of that video that we shared. So I'm going to leave it open to the board if you have any questions of any of us during this public hearing.
Jan Grist.
Barbara, hello. As a experienced teacher, did you find the materials easy to use and manipulate, you know, for material to make lessons and, yeah, let's see, and still, are you using it right now?
Actually, no, we're not using it right now. We did spend a lot of time reviewing, and I went to the NGSS time training to evaluate curriculum and what to look for specifically as far as for a teacher, as far as student, as far as assessment. And then we got together as staff with the Hollister School District and the County Office of Ed. And we were going through two different pieces, and the McGraw-Hill stood out for us more than the other publisher. And I am really excited to actually do this or work with this material. It's going to be very easy transition, and for especially those new teachers, it's very easy for them to use this material. And being a teacher that has been creating her own curriculum for the last 7-8 years, having something to look at and to be able to use, and it's all there, and not having to search over here and search over there. It's I'm actually really excited to have this and be able to use it when we're ready.
So when you give, let's say, an assignment in reading, a paragraph or 2 paragraphs where they have to be able to comprehend the material, do they have activities where then they have to break that down and understand what they have to do?
So yes, the whole thing is it's all 5E, which is and the new NGSS way for them to explore, elaborate. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, and I should, but it's late into the evening, and I've been working all day, so I'm tired, Jen.
That's okay. That's okay.
So Max probably knows them all. I bet you he does. But it has the 5E lessons with it, and it's all very inquiry-based lessons, and they have the CER, which is the it's the writing component to it. So it encompasses everything. So it's really is a great program, and that's what sold me. The 5E, the CER. I was like, I'm sold right there.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Max, can you speak very quickly to the teacher usability feature where they have those, I'm thinking of that bar across the bottom, as well as the student accessibility features. I'm thinking of the Lexile levels and all of the extensions and different things, just briefly.
Yes, so as for teacher usability, it's designed so that teachers can open up the platform and find exactly what they need, where they need it. As Barbara mentioned, all of our lessons are organized by 5E, and that's how their online resources are organized. If they're at the explore phase, every resource that teacher needs to assign to the students to explore is exactly in that section where they need it. So and all of the support that they need for all of the NGSS instruction is included all at point of use, meaning they don't have to reach for other resources. It's all essentially in one screen or 2 screens that are right in front of them. As for students, there are a myriad of ways that we can support them, as far as something like dropping the Lexile for a student, which means lowering the readability. Common Core sets that there's certain readability levels at every grade level. We ensure that we have at least 2 grade levels below each grade level, and that we can extend for those students that need to extend. There's audio support for students. There are things that can be printed out. If we want to get students off the screens for a little bit, have them work maybe paper pencil a little more traditionally. There's kinesthetic activities. There's even family activities that the teachers can send home. So there's a variety of different ways that we can engage the student rather than them just sitting, looking at a screen and maybe reading a paragraph or listening to a teacher speak to them. There's quite a variety of different ways they can interact with the content.
Any other questions? Steve, Trustee King.
Yeah, this would be, hey, Max. My question is this. As $364,462, and it talks about science materials. As an retired teacher, what am I getting? Am I getting a program? Am I getting textbook? What am I getting for that money?
I'm going to defer that question actually to the local sales representative, who's Will Marshall. He will be able to give you a much more detailed answer for exactly what you're getting for that price than I can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Hi, my name is Will Marshall. I'm your local rep from McGraw-Hill. Caroline brought me on the call specifically to answer questions like these. It's an absolutely fair question. At this point, your district has requested a quote for digital only. What that means is you're getting the full digital platform that includes really one-to-one reproduction of everything that's available in print, plus a really exceptionally robust teacher and student digital platform that both Max and Barbara have spoken to already today a little bit. What you're not purchasing, and this has been at the request of your district, but it's something that can always be added on later, are student books, which are consumable books that are replaced every year for the life of the adoption, and hands-on science materials, which most districts purchase year to year regardless. And in a year of remote learning, it doesn't make a ton of sense to purchase a whole lot of lab materials when kids aren't in the labs. Those haven't been included. So for that price, you're getting full digital access as well as physical teacher materials for all of your teachers.
Will, how long does that digital access last?
That's 8 years.
I don't know if you can see me. This is Caroline again. One of the things that struck me, and Barbara, maybe you can speak to it, is when you get the digital materials, you get instructional sequences for every lesson that include explorations, labs, simulations, interactive worksheets and workbooks, opportunities for students to interact with one another. They can stop the lab and replay it. They can manipulate variables in a lab setting. So I think it levels the playing field for a lot of students, whether we go to a hybrid model, whether we go back all in person, it still creates a very rich, equitable set of materials for all students. And I don't know if Barbara, you can speak to it on Max, but more than just a digital mock-up of what you would get on hard copy, you get labs, you get, you know, sequences. And the other thing that I thought was really cool that you guys talked about, the teachers talked about, was in those sequences of lessons that are set up with simulations and everything, a veteran teacher can take it and plug in their resources that are tried and true that they love, but it's set and good to go for new teachers. So it has that flexibility. And it also, one thing I want to highlight, not bad, Max, I've learned a lot from you, by the way. I'd like to highlight that this, the instructional sequence is flexible, and it's been aligned with our benchmark universe units in English language arts. So a teacher could just line those all up with instruction. So what's going on in language arts is reinforced in science.
So I'm going to
So then this is aligned with the state standards for science?
I'm going to jump in there.
Yeah, go ahead.
So our NGS...
I can't hear you speak.
Sorry. Okay.
I'm asking if the program is aligned with the state standards for science for 4 through 8.
Yes. So as of right now, all of our
Yes.
science teachers we're creating our curriculum ourselves. That is, we're trying our best to align ourselves with the new standards, with the NGS standards. The books that we have right now that we've been using are old, like centuries old, I want to say. So we've been working our best to find curriculum for ourselves and align with the standards. The reason why it's been so difficult to come up with a textbook is because NGSS is so broad, and the districts in every school district can kind of make their own choices of how they want to go, whether or not they want to be topic-based, phenomenon-based, integrated. And we've spent many years talking about this, the science teachers at Rancho, at Mays, and and at other schools. And we've decided, and for the last couple of years, Caroline could vouch for this, that we have finally decided what we want to do. And that's why we've come to the conclusion to adopt a program that we feel is best for our students. And yes, it is completely NGSS aligned. And it hits all those standards. I went to, like I said, I went to a time training. It was a 3-day training in Sacramento where we had to evaluate the curriculum and basically like from the bottom on up and see how it works for teachers, how it works for students, how it works for admin, and then how it also works for, assessment based. So taking that knowledge, Jen Logue from the County Office of Ed was with me, and she's the one that basically did the mini time training here for the Hollister School District with the McGraw-Hill and the other public we were looking at.
Okay, so basically what I just want to be assured of is that is this
Steve, your internet connection is failing you, I think.
Kind of got cut off.
Standards. Uh-oh, can you hear me now? Is that making it?
Yeah, but you'll have to start over.
Steve, I think
Okay, I just want to be assured.
Yeah. I can assure you that this is NGSS, not only NGSS, but California NGSS standards.
Yes. This is not a book that we're going to regret having. This is not a publisher that we're going to regret having. And I definitely vouch for that. And I think this book will definitely stand the test of time that we have this publisher.
Steve, I can tell.
Okay.
Or I can tell my fellow board members here. At the moment, I'm not supportive of this because, sort of related to your question, because what I'm used to, what we're buying here, what we're being presented with, is the application. But I pretended I was a parent. I'm looking for the content, like as if it were a textbook, so that I can read it to see exactly what it is that our children are supposed to learn. And it's not here. We're seeing all the tools, but we're not actually seeing the content. And that's of concern to me because evaluating that content is a core responsibility of a school board. So I would like to get some comfort around that. But I've looked, in Caroline, unless I'm missing it, the actual content, what the lessons are, as if it were a textbook, are not being presented here.
There's textbooks in the boardroom right now, and there are scope and sequence in the review of the materials. And I could share just the scope and sequence with you if you'd like, or Max, if you have anything to speak to that.
Well, I think I'd rather take some of the textbooks home and look at them before I think that would be the best thing. So anyway.
My advice for you, when you look at textbooks, new textbooks for NGSS, they're not like old textbooks. You've got to look at them in a different way. We want the kids to have inquiry. We want them to have, it's a whole different learning. NGSS is a total different learning than it was before. You're not going to have the traditional textbooks where they have to read, a chapter and find the vocabulary words and define them. That's not how NGSS works. NGSS works with exploration and for them to evaluate what they're reading and to be able to explore. So there's a lot of different aspects to NGSS. And I think McGraw-Hill has done a great job in obtaining that in their, not only their textbook, but in their online program that they're offering for us. And I think it's, to dismiss it so soon is, I don't think you're giving it a fair shot. I think Max can definitely give you a little more than I'm doing justice for. So, but Gianna has a hand up, so I don't want to take up the whole.
I just need to say it's our job to know what the content is.
Actually, I think that's my job, being the science teacher. So, I mean, I've studied the NGS standards for a long time now. So,
Well,
but I do understand that, yes, you do want to know what the content is. I do understand that.
Well, Barbara,
this is a public hearing.
Yes.
Barbara, that's what I'm asking.
Up to the curriculum.
That's why I'm asking, Barbara.
Yes.
Because I know you're an experienced science teacher. I need to make sure that you're satisfied with this, and it is covering what needs to be covered.
Yes, it is.
That's what I need to hear.
Yes.
Yes.
Jan.
You're muted, Jan.
I want to go back to the workbook that's free for 8 years, and we're not getting it. Steve and I have experience with this when we had the history of adoption.
Yeah.
The workbook is really good for our special ed students. It's really good for English language learners. It's really good when kids go away. They don't have access to the digital. I think it's a mistake not to get them. And because if they don't get them, they lose out. Is that how does this work, Max?
That's a question for me, actually.
Okay, all right, William, how does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, the consumable books are included every year for 8 years for districts that purchase them. The cost, frankly, is fairly nominal. When the largest amount of the cost is in the development of the program, and that is included with the digital platform. So it's not that much more if you wanted to include the physical materials. That's just requested. But those are absolutely available at some point. Anything is purchasable at a later date.
All right, well, I would strongly urge the curriculum department to speak to the science teachers, because as someone who used workbooks, and Steve will back me up on this, that those workbooks for our special education students, for our ELLs, for people that go on contract, for kids that are struggling, you're going to find that's a resource that, and you know, when they go away, they might not be able to have access to the internet. You need to have something that's going to back you up. So, and I just would like you to rethink that on the workbook.
Max actually has, they can actually download the book, the textbook, so they can have it available to them at any time. So they don't actually have to have internet access. So Max, do you want to?
If I could speak quickly, I know I'm not on camera. There's something going on with my camera. This is Caroline. The funding source for this adoption is earmarked for digital curriculum resources. So if I'm hearing a strong recommendation, and if, as Jan, you suggested, we go back to our teachers and this is something that we feel we want to move forward with, we could.
Only if they want to. I'm just suggesting you talk with them about it. That's all I'm suggesting.
That makes sense. And then we could, you know, consider using a different funding source for that, and especially it's a nominal. So if we move forward and adopt this, there would be no barrier to us moving forward in that direction. As far as wrapping it in a bundle right now. The other thing I want to comment on very briefly is that NGSS standards, to piggyback on what Barbara was saying, are they're very different in the way that they're lined up and organized. And it's by no mistake, and we're very fortunate that we have an expert who went at the state level to learn how to evaluate materials, come back, work with our county as a leader, work with Jen Logue to bring that analysis process back to our teachers and to go through that process to move forward with this recommendation. It is not a light recommendation. And I, even as the Director of Ed Services, would not presume to think that I could make that evaluation myself by looking at a set of materials. I'm leaning on that 5-day process that Barbara went through and brought back with Jennifer Logue at the county and moved forward with our teachers to make
Absolutely.
this recommendation. It is California NGSS standards-based materials. I want
Absolutely.
that clear.
Carla, then Liz.
Thank you for the information. I think I like that it's new and updated. I appreciate the teacher explaining that we have centuries old materials. That's horrible. So I really think our students deserve to be cutting edge, whatever you got that, digital. So I'm really excited that we have this opportunity and that it does have the capacity to provide it in Spanish. And so I'm really happy about that. I think I share the same concerns as Trustee Grist because I'm a visual and a tactile learner, right? I need to have the pen and the paper and the digital. So I think I would also appreciate the workbooks to be included, especially because internet is not always automatic, right? And we don't know what could happen. And that way our students have that backup plan for all the reasons that Trustee Gris said as well. So I appreciate that. The teacher's comment. Sorry, I don't know your name. Barbara?
Barbara.
Barbara, sorry. So thank you for sharing your experience and for everyone who presented.
Any other comments during the public hearing? Oh, Liz, I'm sorry.
Okay, Rob. I just want to thank Barbara. I know, and that, kind of going back to the beginning, there was a reason why we sent one of our own to get trained and to view this, especially someone with your background and just excitement about wanting to bring something better to our kids. And so I hear that passion and that commitment. And that to me, I mean, there's a whole reason why we did what we did, because as Caroline just said, we have to trust that we have individuals more than capable of knowing what is needed in our district and presenting that, before us tonight. So regardless of the experts, I trust our teachers and I trust you, Barbara, because I know that you're gonna make the best decision to move, the curriculum forward and to give and expand our kids to something exciting and new. And so I'm, regardless whether we see the textbooks or not, that's pretty much the obligation of the, teachers or administrators to review and bring forward the best curriculum, for our kids and what they need right now. And you're the expert, in my opinion, to do that. So I support your decision, and we can move, I think the textbooks or the supplemental materials, I do agree with Carla and Jan, because, you just, with, I work with migrant students. So having textbooks to be able to send with them and not for them not to get behind, or whatever type of movement kids do, especially if they can take things with them, that they may not otherwise have other means to access the information. I think having that as a backup is always a great thing.
Okay.
So Barbara, you said that you're not using this right now, or you haven't used it?
No, we have not used it yet.
Have you piloted it?
No, we have not piloted it yet. We did it's called TIME. It was our textbook analysis training for it. And like I said, it was like a deep dive. I will tell you, I was there for this last science adoption that we did, and it was completely different situation here. We did a total deep dive into it, so I'm not going into this lightly at all. And I'm telling you, it's something that I know that we will use for a long period of time. So I'm excited. I can't wait to use it. I actually asked Caroline, I said, when can we get it? I've been bugging her, ask her. I've been emailing her and saying, when can I get it? When can I get it? So I can't wait to get it. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the kids. And I've been spending years creating my own curriculum. So I'm looking at years of hard work on my part, and I'm excited to use their material as well. So
Hold on, Steve.
I hope that puts that in a little bit of perspective.
Yeah, I just have to ask Diego a question, Steve. So isn't it normal that we pilot things before we, okay. All right, Steve.
Oh, well, I know Barbara, and I trust Barbara because she's been around a long time. I've been in her classroom. I know she knows what she's doing. So if she says it's okay by me, is what I'm trying to say. If this is something you want, when Jan and I had to adopt, we were in your same position with history not that long ago. And I appreciated that the administration gave us the ability to choose what we wanted to do and wanted to teach and we're happy with. And it sounds to me like this is something you're very happy with.
Barbara,
Yeah,
how many people were on the team? How many teachers? So it's not just Barbara. How many
No,
teachers?
it's not just me.
I'm sure it's not.
When we did the time training, there was, well, because it was county. So there had
eight to 10 of us.
Yeah.
10 of us.
So there was the county office of ed. So they had about 5 teachers of them, and then there was 8 of us, I believe. So we had a couple 6th grade teachers, a couple 7th grade, and then the 8th grade. So it wasn't just So it was all of us that were doing that deep dive. So I just got lucky to be the lead person here.
They picked a good person.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. Are there any other comments for the public hearing? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing at 8:02. And we will move on to item 14A.
Caroline, you're still on the call with us?
Yes.
You can depart, I believe.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Earl. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, guys. Bye. Have a good rest of your night.
So this is a resolution to adopt the grades 4 through 8 science materials. So before we get into any discussion, let's have because there is no other presentation, is there a motion to adopt it?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 12-2021, adopt grades 4 through 8 science instructional materials for the 2020 school year through 2028 school year.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Liz?
Are we making any caveat to make sure we include the textbooks or the other materials?
The workbooks.
No, those can be purchased after the fact, Liz. So
Okay.
the resolution would remain as it is, and then at the board's direction, I would bring back a purchase request at a future date for those.
Okay.
Those
Thank you for clarifying.
Any other comments? No, I'm voting against this only because I don't, Barbara seems like a nice person and knowledgeable, but her very comment that she is to decide what the curriculum is just a patently, incorrect statement. And it's our obligation to know, what our kids are learning. The platform, I think, is what we're buying, which is just sort of fantastic. But this is an adoption. And, the books that are here in the boardroom, they are, to me, classic textbook type stuff where it's describing things and then posing questions and it looks very good. But I want to make sure that they're not teaching that the earth is flat. And the reason I'm sort of adamant about this is, you know, I spar on Facebook sometimes with a science teacher. This is over political stuff on from the high school, and he's constantly asking me about science standards and what I believe in, and you know, what he's doing is he's pinging me on what are we teaching in the Hollister School District. I need to know that. And again, so we do. We're supposed to, before we do an adoption, we're supposed to be familiar with the materials. I'm not aware that we are supposed to delegate all of that responsibility to a teacher or the teachers. We're supposed to know it. So it's just, it's more of the attitude type thing before we make this, you know, $365,000 8-year you know, decision. And you know, what I'm even more worried about, just using this science high school teacher who offered to enroll me in his freshman class this year because he knows that that the Bernowski family is a Christian family, and he wanted to make sure that I totally rejected any thought of creationism, which is a big part of Christianity, because I had to believe in evolution. And if that's what's in our, you know, our curriculum, I'd be very worried, because we do have a huge amount of people here in the community that are of faith, and they should not be discounted and treated badly in the classroom. So anyway, that I'd rather have time to review the materials than vote for it tonight. So hearing no other comments, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Opposed? 4-1.
That takes us to item 14B, approval of AB 1200 disclosure, Hollister Elementary School Teachers Association, HESTA. This item is pertaining to agreed upon pay increase with the Hollister Elementary School Teachers Association. It reflects a change in salary for HESTA unit bargaining members. It includes increases to salary schedules of 1.5% effective November 1st, 2020, and reflects the impact that the salary schedule will increase and will have on the 2021 budget. The disclosure is very familiar to members of the school board. Each time a negotiation results in added cost to the district, it is reflected in an AB 1200. It is the board's opportunity to share publicly the cost of that agreement. And with that, I pass it over to the board for any questions pertaining to AB 1200 report for HESTA.
Any comments? I only have one question. So we are, we're not approving, this is not a new contract or a component, we're just approving the disclosure of what we previously signed off on.
That's correct.
Okay.
The school board has approved the agreement, so there's no agreement to approve or not approve. It's you're approving the disclosure of the agreement, which is before you tonight. And you'll see the next item on the agenda is for the same type of disclosure, but pertaining to CSEA.
And this is not a resolution, this is just a straight vote, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the AB 1200 disclosure for the Hollister Elementary School Teachers Association, say aye.
I don't think we had a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know we didn't have a motion.
Is there a
I
motion?
think, yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve AB 1200 disclosure for HESTA.
Second.
I guess that was Carla.
Thank you, Carla.
Now I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? 5-0.
All right, and item 14C is the approval of AB 1200 disclosure for CSEA. I won't go through the whole preamble. We just had the explanation pertaining to HESTA. So this is a disclosure pertaining to our Classified School Employees Association. And with that, I'll pass it over for any questions from the board.
Any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion that we approve AB 1200 disclosure for CSEA.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right. Any board member reports? We'll start with Liz Martinez. None? We'll continue on to Carla. None?
Nope.
Okay. Over to Steve.
Nope.
And over to Jan.
Nope.
Okay. All I have to report is I finally got my tour of Rancho Santana, courtesy of Superintendent Ochoa. And all I can tell you without any discussion is I am incredibly impressed. From the drawings, it's, you have one view of it, but then you go on that campus and you understand the very nice architecture and the quality of the of the whole campus. I think from a from a teacher, parent, student point of view. Moving on to item 16, requests for future agenda items. Steve.
I would like to continue hearing reports about attendance. I think we should keep up with that.
Okay. Jan.
Well, the workbooks for science, I guess Diego said we need to have that on for the next agenda item or next board meeting.
Are these the ones that are here?
Jan, I mean, we can't discuss it because it's not on the agenda, but I'm happy to bring that back to a board meeting. But I think you mentioned during the meeting you wanted us to talk to our teachers about that because we want that's something that the teachers are recommending. So I would suggest that we keep it in the queue, but we move it forward just a little bit. Next month, there won't be enough time for us to work with
Okay, gotcha.
I'll definitely take that.
Okay, Liz?
I have 2 items, Rob, that I emailed Diego earlier today. There was an article that I read. It's called Missing in the Margins, Estimating the Scale of COVID-19 Attendance Crisis. So he has the publication that I shared, but I did want to continue the conversation. It's kind of, like what Steve was saying as far as attendance, but it goes a little deeper. And so maybe Diego will talk or can share the publication so that we can kind of get filled in as to what it was hinting towards, and then have some further discussion as a board concerning some of those impacts towards our students and what we can do about it. And then the other one was in the latest newsletter of the CSBA, there was on page 2, since we get a lot of the templates from CSBA, there was one that caught my eye that talked about our policies concerning stakeholder engagement, and it's specifically for policies related to student suicide prevention. So I'm not sure if you guys all get the newsletter, but I think the article was it impacted me a lot, and it's very clear that those policies need to acquire stakeholder input. And I just want to know what our policies have in them. And I want to, guarantee that we've taken the time, especially with all you know, the mental support that our kids need. I definitely want to make sure that we're following what is here, and we're adhering to what needs to be done as far as policy. This is so I want to add this to the board agenda for next time.
The topic is specifically
Um,
policies that refer to suicide prevention.
yes. So and I actually took a snapshot of this also and gave it to Diego, so he has it available, so he can kind of put it together however, but I think he's pretty well versed on how we can bring it forward.
Okay, and then I think pile on top of that, and can we get a status of where we are with the social workers that we funded partially by discontinuing our SRO? So, Carla, did you have something?
Yes, I'm thinking along the same lines. I have three. One is, can we get a review of our current mental health services? How many of our students are accessing that? And, do we need to do more? And I don't know if, so maybe if Superintendent Ochoa can talk to those professionals that are offering those services and see what they think, as well as parents. And with the stakeholder idea that, Liz is talking about, I saw that too. And so I'm totally in support of that. So I don't know if we can put that together, or does it have to be separate? I'll leave that up to our superintendent. The other thing is, I'd still like to know the status of our fields, just kind of, how I know we're updating some, and just when, if possible, we can use them. And then this other one, and I don't know if this is more of an action item or an agenda item, but I saw that there's other districts where they're collaborating with the county library on providing free copying or free printing materials, or do we just do that ourselves if any of our students need it? So just want to get an understanding of what do we do for parents if they want to print materials that are online and they don't have either a printer or the means to pay for that.
Okay, Jan?
Yeah, I wanted to add that ways to get kids to socialize or interact, some kind of a talk time or a social time during the class day, so that we could provide more time for kids to interact with each other. And
virtual recess.
Yeah, a virtual recess, maybe in small group. But they can do more time to interact with each other in a social manner. I know in my grandson's class, they do that in small group, and they talk to each other, and the mic is open.
So Jan, the agenda item is?
Right. So to interact or have some type of a social time during the class time, it's built in, where the kids, whether it be in small group or I don't know how the teacher does it, but to alleviate some of this stress that the kids are having, to build in some kind of a talk time, social time where children can interact. Carla called it a virtual recess.
I liked that idea.
Yeah, a virtual recess. To help mitigate some of these concerns that parents have.
Okay, anything else? All right, the next regular school board meeting is November 17th, 2020. That said, there being no other business before the board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:19 p.m.
So moved. Second.
Okay.
There you go.
Liz. All right, any discussion?
I have discussion. I just want the
Oh.
board to know.
Oh,
I went in for some dental work today. I got a, what is it called? I'm having a
crown?
moment. I had a root canal.
Oh, God.
So much better than that. I just want to thank you all for an awesome meeting.
All right. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Aye.